Good morning, Dave. Maybe you're the only person here. Maybe it's just us. I only see one person on the. Oh, I see more now. Now there are three. Um, okay, well, good morning. Um, Here we are at Saturday already. The whole week is gone. Um, and I don't know. Looks like rain or something today. Doesn't look great out there. Uh, but still pretty warm. So I was thinking that I don't know. I guess I thought I got finished with my working on the porch project last fall later or earlier rather than now. But apparently no. This week I painted the floor of the porch. Google Photos gives me like a update of what I was doing um, in past years at this certain time. So yeah, let's paint the porch. So I guess it was warm. But then I didn't do anything all spring. So I don't know. Here I am again, trying to finish up in like the last week before it gets cold, or maybe 2 weeks. I don't know. We'll see how long I have. Um, yeah, so that's probably my weekend too. All right. So I realized yesterday we started to talk about the yamas again, and then I thought that's really dumb to start that on a Friday because then we have Sunday off and everything, and it fits nicely into a week. So maybe we'll get back to that on Monday. Um, but let's talk briefly. So we were talking about Ahimsa. Ahimsa deserves uh, a whole. You can pretty much talk about that by itself for a bit. So um, Ahimsa is the first yama, and really um, the the belief is that if you follow no other yama, just follow that one, right? Non-harming. Um, and that is also because it is sort of the umbrella over the other yamas and niyamas. Um, Everything else has to be seen through a filter of that. So there's no truth if it causes harm. Um, Now that doesn't mean that someone might not feel bad about your truth. But if telling the truth um, to someone is going to cause them harm, you're going to need to evaluate that, right? Is it really worth it? Um, is the truth bigger and more important than the harm it might cause? It's something to take into consideration. Um, Sharing your deepest feelings about someone's ugly dress might not be worth it, right? Definitely not worth it. Um, but calling out your friend who's saying something offensive or uh, objectionable, or treating someone in a way that is wrong, um, even if that is going to irritate them, right? That definitely um, your truth will cause a lesser harm than leaving things as they were. So using our head about that, knowing um, being able to evaluate that is important. None of these rules are meant to be followed blindly, right? And none of them are meant to be used as um, a a club to beat yourself or someone else with, right? Um, that's why the non-harming is the umbrella, right? There are a lot of people who want to go around telling their truth to everybody, and they think that's the only rule that applies, right? But that's incorrect. Um, your main rule is to not harm others, and um, you don't get to just shoot your mouth off anytime you feel like it. that's that's not how it works. And I mean, as we know this, right? We know this makes sense. This is common sense. So yoga philosophy came about in a time and place where people lived very close together and in high density, right? I mean, at times. So there's some real value to this, right? A lot of these are rules for getting along with other people, for navigating a place in the world that is peaceful and not constantly getting yourself into confrontations and difficulties. Um, in our culture, I think we have more of a this individualistic type thing where we feel like we should be able to do and say and act in any way we want to and get away with it. Um, and that's the thing, right? I mean, you can do whatever you want, but you will reap the consequences from that. Um, no one said, everyone thinks they're entitled to their opinion and to their way of thinking and acting, but frequently, especially people who are extremely aggressive and offensive in some of their actions and behaviors, also think they should be immune to any repercussions from that, that everyone should just accept it. Well, that's not how it works. you you reap what you sow, and if you are going to be aggressive and confrontational, you're probably going to get the same in return. Um, in yoga, we know this is not the way, right? This isn't how we comport ourselves in an effective way. So, being aware of that um, kindness. So, we talked yesterday more about ahimsa as it refers to ourselves. Um, but it's both, right? Being kind to ourselves, not harming ourselves, um, and then giving that same kindness to others. Something great about ahimsa is it forces you to look at um, some of your feelings and your I guess you could say preconceived sort of ideas about people. Um, and it can be people, in a group sort of sense, like how do you feel about this particular type of person or this sort of person? How do you feel about, um, a lot of times we have this like preconceived idea of what people are going to be like, just based on their job or whatever it is we perceive that we think we know about them. Ahimsa tells us you can't do that, right? Um, you you're going to get it wrong, right? If you think you know what the story is, you don't. Um, and it's much easier to practice these things, these yamas, when you don't go into a situation already thinking you know what's going to happen. Um, in yoga, we talk about this samskaras, which develop, right? Those are kind of these grooves that we wear into our psyche. from our experiences, right? So if you've had bad experiences in this situation or with this type of person, it's going to leave a mark, literally. It's not a physical mark, but it is sort of, it leaves an impression in your mind, in your psyche. Um, what we're trying to do with yoga is smooth all that out. We can't stop. Well, I shouldn't say that. You can stop some from forming samskara, but that's very much down the road, right? That's not. Most people aren't there, and probably aren't ever going to get there. But what we can do is try to erase them once they've been made. And everybody has them from when they were children and things, when they didn't even really understand how any of this works. Um, we need to work on letting those things go. And again, like so much of yoga, being aware of it is half the battle, right? So being aware that we hold these things, and they're not just thoughts, they really are grooves and impressions. um, and just like a record, right? um, I can still use that metaphor, but probably not for too much longer. So, like a record with a needle, right? The needle will slip into the groove. We do the same thing. When we're presented with a situation, we mindlessly slip into that groove. We go right back to where we were. We can experience these same feelings, right? So people who have experiences of PTSD and traumatic things like that, they are reliving that groove. They're right back in there. They're back in that same place, um, which is, of course, the extreme example of that. But it happens on a much smaller basis to us all the time. Um, Hopefully, with less serious consequences, but still, we aren't really there. We're back there. We're not here. We're stuck. So we want to move through that, and we do that by being aware of how we're feeling. Um, so let's say you've had like a scary situation or a difficult confrontation with someone. Um, let's say it was at, a store, or I don't know, like an office or something. And you're in this situation again. Um, you are going to and you'll feel this. You can start to feel things happening in your body, right? You might get tense, your heart rate might go up, your breathing might change, um, or a confrontation with somebody, right? When you're in their presence, you start to feel these changes in your body. That's your first clue, right? Uh-oh, what am I doing, right? I'm back in this old thing. So relaxing then, letting the breathing go, understanding, hey, it's not necessarily the same thing. We're somewhere else now. And we're going to move through that. We're going to look at what's actually happening, not what happened before, not what happened in some other circumstances. We're going to look at what's happening. And we're going to approach it with kindness, right? With this feeling of ahimsa. Um, so many things in life could be avoided, so many difficulties, if we could just come to that situation in kindness, assuming the best, not assuming that someone is trying to take advantage of you, or hurt you, or use you, or do anything like that. I'm not telling you people won't try to do that to you. They will, right? You know this. But give everybody a shot. Let the situation play out. Don't assume that you know what's happening. You may be pleasantly surprised. If not, well, I mean, you'll you'll be ready for what happens. But give the situation um, the chance to unfold before you jump into what you think is happening. Um, you will solve, or you will cut down on these misunderstandings that happen. You will help kind of erase the grooves, right? So positive interactions do the same thing, right? They leave their own grooves, and these things sort of smooth out over time. So be kind, be patient with yourself, with others. Don't assume that you know what's happening. You do not know what's happening. Nobody knows what's happening. Um, when we think too far ahead, when we anticipate, we get ourselves into trouble, all sorts of trouble. So, just as we want to be in the present with our practice and with everything, we want to be in the present um, in our day to day activities. Um, it doesn't mean that you aren't going to have difficult confrontations and problems with people. You certainly will. But when those things happen, you will be reacting appropriately. You will not be crushing walnuts with atom bombs, right? And this is what we see a lot now, right? People have a great big store of anxiety and fear and anger and all these other things that they carry around with us or with them. And then one thing happens and they blow up, right? They're reacting way out of proportion because they're holding all of this within themselves. Um, and it tips over. So, a good story that I heard about this is this idea that we are what we hold, right? So, what do you hold within? If you are holding, if you're walking around holding a cup of boiling coffee and someone bumps into you, that coffee is going to spill and burn you, burn someone around you. But if you're holding water, if you're holding clear, cool, pleasant water, if you get bumped, it's just a little spill. It's not anything disastrous. So we want to we want to hold the water. We want to keep ourselves and our minds as relaxed as we can. Um, don't hold grudges. Don't um, assume the worst. Always assume the best. You may be disappointed, but you'll be disappointed anyway, right? You might as well feel good until that happens. But you'll also be pleasantly um, rewarded for your positive thoughts. And in any event, you're going to feel a lot better. There's nothing good about holding those negative thoughts. Nothing good at all. All right. So moving through practice, treating yourself with kindness, holding kind thoughts, and just not anticipating, not planning ahead, just focusing on what's happening right now. Sitting up tall. Breathe. And then chin down toward the chest. Let the head hang down. Moving around. Big circle. Moving one way and then the other. Back to center. Arms wide. Take a deep breath and bring the hands together. Inhale, arms wide. And exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Interlace the fingers, lift the hands, gaze up. And then arms down by your side. Inhale, lift. And lower. Lift. And lower. Once more, lifting up. Right hand down by your side, reach across. And switch sides. Back up. Lift the shoulders, roll back. And roll forward. Right hand on left knee, left arm behind. Sit up tall, take a twist. Coming back to center, switch. And then back to center. Tabletop. And then sitting back on the heels for child's pose. Maybe rock a little side to side. Coming back up. Tabletop. Extend the right leg back. Press the heel away. And then switch. Back to tabletop. Moving through cat-cow for a few sets. And then back on the heels again. You bring the knees wider on the mat. Stack the fists. And rest your forehead. Moving back up. tabletop to downward dog. Step the feet up. We'll be in a fold for a few breaths. Rising up. Stand tall in your mountain. Breath in and out. Inhale, lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, step back with the right. Drop your knee, arms overhead. Hands to center. Take a breath. And then we're turning the body to the left. You could hook the elbow here, or staying more upright, just pulling back that left shoulder. Back to center. Left hand down by the foot, right arm lifts. Both hands down to the mat. Kind of walk and move forward here into a lizard. And then we're going to walk the foot across for pigeon. You could also come into supine pigeon if you want. Just getting everything lined up. Remember, you can bring that foot closer to the body if that makes this more useful for you. And then just breathe. Making your way back up. We're going to plant the hands, flip that back toe, and lift up. Three-legged dog. Set the foot back down. And then let's step the right foot up. Drop the knee, arms overhead. Hands down to the mat, step the back foot up, fold forward. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lifting the arms, back to mountain. Breath in and breath out. Inhale, lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, left foot steps back. Drop your knee, arms overhead. Hands to center. Take a breath. And then turning to the right. Whatever you did on one side, we'll do on the other. Back to center, right hand down by the foot, left arm lifts. Both hands down to the mat, getting ready for lizard. Maybe bringing the hands a little forward. Breathe. And then we're going to walk it across for pigeon on the other side. Getting set up here and then lowering down, or whatever version you want to do here. Coming back up. Set your hands. Get that back toe ready. And lift up. And set the foot down. One more breath. Then left foot steps up. Drop your knee. Lift the arms. Hands down to the mat. Step the back foot up and fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lift arms high. Back to mountain. Breath in, breath out. Coming down to a seat on the mat. Soles of the feet together. Knees apart, sit up tall. Deep breath, fold forward. Come back up. Let's lift the knees. Catch a hold of the toes or the feet. Lean back a little. Find your balance. When you're steady, you might begin to extend halfway or extending completely. And back down again. Both legs out in front. Deep breath in, then fold forward. Moving back up. Bend the knees. Soles of the feet to the mat. And then we're lowering down or rocking back. Get comfortable here. Take a few breaths. Knees are bent. Setting up for bridge. You can do supported bridge if you've got a block. I certainly hope that by now you have a block because supported bridge is great. And regular bridge is nice and it certainly is good. It's a good strength builder, but sometimes supported bridge is just the best. So I'm doing supported bridge. Find the height you want to be, whether you want supported or not. Just take a little time in your bridge pose. And if we're ever in supported bridge, but you'd rather do regular bridge, you can come into regular bridge, stay there for, 5 breaths or so, and then set back down. And if we're not done yet, you can do it again. It's certainly fine to do several sets of bridge. You can even stay up for much longer than 5 if you want to. It just really depends how you like to do it. Lifting up, remove your block, soles of the feet together, knees apart. And relax. And then let's bring the knees to center. Walk the feet out to the edges so the knees are bumping together. Arms out to a T or goalpost arms. Take a breath, and then we're going to lower both knees over to the right. Back to center, and then moving both knees to the left. So they're coming down kind of unevenly. And then back to center. Let's bring the knees into the chest. Rock a little side to side. And then maybe make some circles with the knees. So moving them around one way. And then reversing. Both legs extend straight up, hands by your side. When you're ready, lowering down. And finding a place to be comfortable on the mat. And just let everything relax. Sinking down into the mat. Steady with the breath. So when we are carrying around negative thoughts, is as if we are holding this dangerous substance precariously in our hands. Um, one bump on the road, and we're going to spill. We're going to let it go everywhere. Um, the other is just as true. If you're holding positive thoughts, thoughts of kindness and goodwill, those are the things that are going to fall out when you have a surprising situation or you are startled, right? It's our choice which one it's going to be. We like to think that other people make us do things, that um, they made me feel that way. They made me feel bad or unhappy or sad. And in truth, no one ever makes us feel anything. It is completely our choice, our creation. Certainly, our feelings and emotions are triggered, and um, they come from the most part, they come from outward experiences. But again, we get to choose how we feel about that. When we hold negative thoughts and we see everything through that filter, nothing is ever going to be right, right? We're always going to be dissatisfied, disappointed. We're going to have all of our worst expectations fulfilled. Even neutral situations are going to take on a sinister tone, right? Um, we think there's more going on than there really is. We get paranoid. We start to um, imagine much worse things than are true. And the same for the opposite, right? If we are constantly seeking the best, assuming people are kind, giving them the benefit of the doubt, even neutral interactions will feel positive. Um, we could ascribe the kindest motives instead of the most negative. Either way, we might be surprised. It might turn out to be not at all what we're thinking, but we're going to have a better experience of it. Um, it is, again, within our choice which way it's going to be, light or dark, positive or negative. When you're ready, moving a bit, fingers and toes, hands and feet. Stretching if you like, and then making your way up to a seat. You can bring hands together, breath in and breath out. Thank you for taking time this morning to come to your mat and share yoga with me. I hope you have a great Saturday and a really good weekend. Namaste. Thank you. Moving right into meditation. No break here. Trying to keep that meditative state of mind. Sitting up comfortably, relax, breathing, close the eyes, coming into that peaceful state of being, focusing on the present. Coming back to awareness, back to the, well, hopefully we were in the present, but back to complete awareness of the present, I guess. Okay, so working on kindness, being kind to others, being kind to yourself. See how that works for you this weekend. And I will be back on Monday.